Hey, good morning. Welcome to my homestead. I'm Kaye, living on a little over 9 acres in the country in Tennessee. After many years in California and becoming an urban gardener there. If you're interested in building a sustainable homestead at an older age like me, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. Well, one of the added benefits to buying a place in the country, especially in Tennessee, are all the wild plants that you can make medicine from. They're just growing free for the taking, so why not? And one of them that I meant to do last year and never got around to it, and I just kept saying, oh, it's gonna stop blooming, and it did, and I never got it collected and used, was red clover. Now, red clover has been used as an herbal medicine for centuries. So today, let's go and pick some. I can't work in the garden. I've got 6 inches of mud out there. I'm just hoping and praying it all waits until I can get to it, till the weather breaks. But today, we are going to have some fresh red clover tea and talk about its medicinal benefits. So stay with me. Now I'm going to avoid flowers that are already starting to go. I'm going to get the freshest flowers I can. See, I'm even on the tail end of the bloom right here in this bunch, so I want to get the freshest flowers I can. Now it's called red clover, but obviously they're not red. Now, one of the reasons I let all these weeds grow up near my house is because of the red clover and of course the plantain. As you can see in this shot, I have white clover as well as red clover growing wild here. It grows very differently. Red clover is a big bush. It just keeps expanding, and white clover stays closer to the ground. But I'm going to go out and get some more blooms. Also, I'm going to collect some longer pieces so that I can dry it inside. I want to dry some naturally, and I want to dry some in the dehydrator and see which comes out more red, preserves the natural color. I read online that it's important to select flowers that are still retain their color, and once they go brown, then they're not as useful or beneficial. You see, when they're forming, they come out to a certain length, and then these will come out longer and longer. Well, they would have if I hadn't cut it. This is incomplete, but I know that it's fresh. I'll come back out when it's not raining and I'll collect a lot more. But for now, the first thing I'm going to do is tie up the longer pieces to dry inside, because I want to compare the color to the dehydrated. Yes, they've been rained on, but I'm going to soak them in filtered water with a little bit of vinegar. Well, I'm quite wet. You know, there's so much to do, and it's really dark in my kitchen, so I would love to have this covered with a see-through roof, that I could have an outdoor kitchen and make my videos. That's well, it's been my dream since I got here. Haven't materialized that yet, but maybe I will. In the meantime, while the tea is steeping, we have gotten the remainder of the flowers that I am going to make into a tincture. And you know, tinctures are very easy to make, and you can make tinctures from fresh or dried flowers. You put them in a jar, a clean jar, and you stuff as many as you can down in the jar, and then you cover it to the top with vodka. And so that's what we're going to do. And you put it in a cool, dark place for at least a month. Shake it, you know, every few days, just to make sure it all gets melded together. You know, ladies, one of the most miserable times in your life is when you're going through menopause. Been there, done that. Anyway, I'm sure some of you are going through that, and red clover, the top #1 benefit that it's known for is relieving the symptoms of menopause with the hot flashes and all of that. And so you can either drink the teas from fresh or dried leaves, or you can use your tincture to put into your regular tea. But now we're going to make the tincture, then we're going to have the tea and talk about all the other benefits. because the number 2 benefit, which I'm very concerned about, is bone health. Because once again, ladies, and I'm sure men too, especially with so many people sitting in their jobs. You know, when I grew up, people were on their feet working. You know, my mother never sat down. My father hardly sat down either. He ran a business and he was always on his feet talking to customers, talking to employees. And so, you know, a lot of the, you know, the computer age has gotten everybody sitting, right? We spend so many hours sitting. It's terrible for our back. It's terrible for our hips. And how many people are getting hip replacements? That never existed back in the day. So I guess people just had to suffer. But anyway, bone health. You know, I think it's called pre-osteoarthritis in one of my hips. Maybe you have that condition as well. Be sure and get your bone scans, ladies. You know, every 2 years, get a bone scan so they can measure your bone density, your bone loss. And so if red clover can help me with preserving my bone mass, I'm going to start making red clover part of my regular regimen. All right, let's get the tincture going and then we'll talk about some more benefits. Well, let's try this out. You know, I've never had red clover tea in my life. So here's a first. Tastes earthy. Yeah, it tastes like it smells, you know. I could live with that. I might live better with it, you know. This is just loaded and packed with nutrition. Amazingly, clover is a legume like peas and beans, and that's why it's used as a cover crop, and that's why livestock love to munch on it. But you can also eat the fresh young leaves before the plant blooms in salads or just munch on it. If you're doing anticoagulant therapy, meaning you're not supposed to have any blood thinner, this does thin your blood and help prevent clotting. But if that's not what you need to avoid this. It also helps with your heart, cardiovascular health, I guess because of the blood thinning properties of red clover. It fights respiratory infections. Boy, we've heard a lot about that in the last 3 years. So it has a natural cleansing effect within the body and reduces anxiety and discomfort during illness. It also has the ability to loosen phlegm in your throat and in your bronchial tubes. So that's also very, very important. Also, it's great for skin irritations and inflammation. You can take the fresh flowers, crush them, add them to water, and just make a poultice and put them right on your irritation. I mean, it sort of tastes like, you know, drinking a plant, but I can handle it. So it lowers the risk of certain cancers, and those would be ones that relate to your hormones, such as hormonal changes, such as the prostate and endometrial cancer, thanks to its isoflavones. Isoflavones. No, isoflavones. Isoflavones. I have a real hard time just kicking back. You know, I've been struggling with my back lately, which is inflamed. So if this helps with inflammation, I'm going to be drinking it 3 times a day. And it's so hard to just sit back and go, you know, not work when there's so much to be done. Maybe this will help me do that. Listen, I hope this is helpful and interesting, and if you enjoy these kinds of videos, please leave me a comment below. Please let me know if you want to see more medicinal plant videos. Be sure and go back and see my fleabane, the mullein videos, and mullein does so much more than I covered. I just did the tincture and the earache oil, but mullein is very beneficial for respiratory problems and all of that. So I'll be sure and check back in when my tincture is ready. And I hope you enjoyed this. Please share with a friend and help this channel grow. I am trying to inspire people in the midst of all of this chaos in our world. And if you are inspired, entertained, educated in some way, I hope you will take a moment and share with a friend. I know a lot of people aren't even on social media, but there's always the phone. Call them up. Say, I've got this great gal that I want you to follow. And maybe they will. Thanks so much. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video. Right. Now you may only have a handful of blossoms. You can put 3 blossoms in a cup of boiling hot water, and you've got a cup of tea. Or you can put a handful of blooms in a quart of water, put it in the refrigerator, and you have cold tea. Take a look at this rain. When am I going to get my garden in? Did you see that? A hummingbird came right here and flew right there. I hope you saw that. I hope you saw that. I hope I didn't imagine that.